Okay, so this question gives us a function and then some other information about h. So let's take a look. So we've got here. So f of x is x to the 11th times h of x. It's they don't have a dot. I put a dot for emphasis, but it's times. It's right next to it, so it's multiplied. So how do you do this? Well, you might think, you can tell from my tone it's wrong. You might think, well, if you want to do the derivative, you just do the derivative of the first part, which is, bring down the 11, subtract 1 from the power, and then h, that's just h prime of x. Okay, that's wrong. You can't do that. Why not? Well, it's because of the product rule. Here it is. Let's get this straight. If you have two functions, f and g, added or subtracted, let's just say added, f plus g, and you want to take the derivative of them, you just take the derivative of the first part, and you take the derivative of the second part, no big deal. Added, subtracted, just do each separately. So, no big deal. But it is a big deal if instead of that, you have two functions multiplied. When they're multiplied, you might think, we'll just take the root of the first one, take the root of the second one. No. No, that works for added or subtracted functions. Just do the first one, do the second one. But it's not the truth for multiplied functions. You cannot do that. It's simply not true. Let me back up here a little bit. What do you do then? Oops. So if you have f times g and you want to take the derivative, you've got to do what's called the product rule. And that is they take turns, meaning the f prime goes first and g just sits there. And then f just sits there and it's g prime. That's the product rule. So when they're multiplied, you can't just do f prime g prime. You do f prime first and g just sits there, and then it's g prime's turn. They take turns. That's the product rule. So we got to do that back here. We got to say, okay. So um, it's this guy first. So we will bring this. That part was true. We'll bring the 11 down, to the front, subtract 1 from the power. Great. But then the h of x, let me change the color so you can see it clearly. The h of x just sits there. We don't do his derivative. Plus, and now the first guy just sits there. X, we don't do his derivative. And it's the second guy's turn, which will just be h prime of x. Does that make sense? I just did the product rule, meaning take turns. Because why? Because these are two functions of x multiplied together. So you do the first one, second one just sits there, plus. Then the first one just sits there, and it's the second one. So that prime means we did the derivative of the second one. Now let's keep going. They want us to plug in -1. Do you see that right there? They want us to plug in -1. So let's go f prime of -1. So put in a -1 for x to the 10th power, and right here for h, and for x, and for h prime. Everywhere there's an x, plug in, -1. So, okay, so what's that going to be? Well, 11. A -1 to the 10th power is +1 because, it's even. 10th power, 10 negatives is +1. Now, what's h of -1? Well, they told us that right here. H of -1 is 4 plus. And then -1 to the 11th power. Well, that's -1 because it's odd. It's 11 negative signs here. I kind of went over the thing there. There we go. It's going to come out negative because 10 negatives is positive and then one more negative is negative. And what's h prime of -1? Well, they gave us that right there. H prime of -1 is 7. So then what do we got? 11 times 1 times 4, that's 44, plus -1 times 7 is -7. Is that going to be 37, I think? The answer, yeah, 37. So that's how we do it. So the main idea here is the product rule, meaning when you have two functions of x multiplied, they got to take turns. You can't just do this one, do this one. You do the first one, but the second one just sits there. Plus, the first one just sits there, and then you do the second one. That's the official rule for products, for things multiplied, two functions of x multiplied. And then you just work it out from there. So remember, two functions added or subtracted, yeah, just do each one separately. But if they're multiplied, you got to do this special product rule where they take turns. And so there we go.